Morning, Blue Water, and welcome to the Blue Water Backstage podcast in our brand new studio. My name is Tim. I'm one of the pastors at Blue Water Church in Sarnia with my good friend, Scott Stevenson.
Yeah, very excited to be here, guys, and grateful for Bob and Ralph and others who have helped set this thing up. It's pretty cool.
If you're watching on the YouTubes, look at this. This is great.
Yeah, feels legit.
It does. We're not hanging out in a studio with handheld mics anymore. And really grateful for everyone that put some effort into this. We are also here with producer Bob behind the ones and twos, making everything look good for us. So here we go. A brand new season of the Blue Water Backstage podcast.
Yep. And we are back in our parables series. Right? We kicked this off last week, and I love that. I love those parables we looked at last week. So simple, so beautiful, and we're going to keep it rolling.
We are. I heard that you saw that David movie.
I did.
So this is we're not talking about the Amazon Prime show, David. These things come in bunches. We're talking about the animated David movie from the theaters. And that's Angel Studios, I think, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I wouldn't take my kids to see the Amazon Prime version, The House of David. Not so much for the kids, but this one's for the kids.
Yeah.
And they only showed it at like 11 a.m. in Sarnia, so we were in London. But I've heard some people have concerns about certain elements of it, but I thought it was fantastic personally. And I would say totally check it out with your kids. The music is awesome.
So you can take your kids. Samuel doesn't hack Agag to pieces, so they're not being super biblical.
Yeah, off screen. Yeah. If you have a problem with that, like David's not cutting off Goliath's head on screen, but these small things. There's a couple differences, obviously, but actually it was kind of neat to. Ev has been reading through 1 Samuel, so we had a fun time like comparing. Well, where did the movie take some liberties versus the text? And that's a cool exercise with the kids too. So, but they're relatively small differences, and I don't know. I thought it was really well made. Music's super catchy. I made the mistake of saying to someone, I've been singing the songs around the house, and I was propositioned for not a small sum of money to try to sing for money for the missions trip on stage at Blue Water. And maybe I shouldn't have said that out loud, but it hasn't happened. But,
I will pay you $10 to do it right now.
It was more than $10. I have some dignity. My price is more than $10.
Can I tell you a quick story about singing?
Yes.
So yesterday I had the funeral of the grandma of a friend of mine, a childhood friend. They live out in Calgary. Flew back in for this funeral. So I'm doing this funeral, and we're out in a small what's the word I'm looking for? Funeral home.
Oh, yeah.
that wasn't as hard to come up with as it should have been. Out in the county, and so I'm doing this funeral, and it occurred to me partway through that there's a lot of things, because of Blue Water being the way that they are, that like one of the things that I haven't done in a really long time is led anyone in singing. So this funeral comes, there's a couple old hymns that they wanted sung, and like it didn't really occur to me. Oh, I guess I'm leading.
Oh, wow.
I'm leading these songs. So they were songs that, man, I thought I knew.
Oh,
it's been a while.
I don't know any of these.
The pianist started playing. My throat's already like not in the greatest of places, and this key was so high.
Oh no!
And so I start singing, and there's like some of these high points in songs, like "His Eyes on the Sparrow," and like I sing because I'm so it's going up, and as I'm singing up in my range, I'm thinking, nope, not going to do it. Not going to do it.
How does it go?
Just like that. I just said, you can rewind. And
Oh man, and no one was even paying you to do that. That's for free. Wow, good for you.
So it was pretty bad. The other thing was they had a mic on the that was built into the podium that I was using, and so as this is getting worse and worse, I was stepping back, trying to get out of the way. But Bob, it was condenser mic, so the farther back I went, it seemed like the louder it was projecting out. No. So I couldn't really hear the piano. I'm not sure where the speakers were for it. And it wasn't an acoustic piano, it was electric piano. And boy, I thought to myself, it has been a long time. It's been a long time since I did this.
That's nightmare fuel for me, but crowns in heaven for you. And so that's good.
My family, as I was telling the story to my children, they were asking if there was a recording of it. And I was like, no, there's not. Yeah. There is no recordings of this. So we are looking at parables in this series. Today, we have, I think, my favorite parable
Yeah, you were saying that last week.
Yeah, I think this parable is absolutely fantastic. I thought I would take a few minutes to read the parable for us, and then we can jump in and talk about it. You okay with that?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so we're in Matthew chapter 13. We mentioned this last week, but Matthew chapter 13 is kind of the parable chapter in Matthew.
Yeah.
Matthew organizes the parables right around chapter 13, most of them, at least many of them. So Matthew chapter 13, starting in verse 3, talking about Jesus, says, Jesus told them many things in parables, saying, and here comes the parable, a sower went out to sow, and as he sowed, some seeds fell on the path, and the birds came and devoured them. Other seeds fell on rocky ground where they did not have much soil, and immediately they sprang up, and since they had no depth of soil, but when the sun arose, they were scorched, and since they had no root, they withered away. Other seeds fell among the thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked them. Other seeds fell on good soil and produced grain, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. He who has ears, let him hear. So Jesus finishes telling this parable, and it's hilarious to me because immediately after the next verse, the disciples come up and they're like, so why do you talk to the crowds in parables, Jesus? I mean, we get it. Clearly we get it, obviously. But I mean, nobody else gets it. So like, why is it, Jesus, that you're telling the crowds, talk to the crowds in parables? And it gets even better because Jesus answers them, and we looked at his answer last week.
Right.
But then we're still in chapter 13, Matthew 13, jumping in verse 18, right after he describes it. He actually goes and then he answers what the parable's about. So the disciples are like, clearly they don't get it, but like, why do we get it?
In
they
case
don't.
we didn't get it,
Yeah.
could you just explain it just in case? Yeah.
Yeah, Matthew's, Peter is like, I know my brother Andrew's not getting this.
Yeah.
So I mean,
his
I could
benefit.
tell him, but it makes me laugh. And so picking up in verse 18, Jesus explains the parable. He says, "Hear then the parable of the sower. Anyone who hears the word of the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what's been sown in his heart. This is what was sown along the path. As for what was sown on the rocky ground, this is the one who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy. Yet he has no root in himself, but endures for a while. And when tribulation and persecution arises on account of the word, immediately he falls away. As for what was sown among the thorns, this is the one who hears the word, but the cares of the world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and it proves unfruitful. As for what was sown on good soil, this is the one who hears the word and understands it. He indeed bears fruit and yields. In one case, 100-fold, in another 60, in another 30. This is the parable. The parable of the soil is one of my very favorites.
Yeah, it's awesome. And this is one that's in all three of the synoptics, right? Often, so some people call it the parable of the sower,
Right.
or the soils, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you hear it kind of both ways. Different than the parable of the seed.
Yeah.
So there's a real small parable of the seed in Mark chapter 4. It's only in Mark. And sometimes people get confused with the language. There's there's the mustard seed, and there's the wheat being sown in the weeds. There's, similar language in several, but this is the sower and the soils, right?
Did I call it the parable of the seeds?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well, I'm glad because
But people do.
Yeah, sometimes people do, and you're right. Like that's a really good point that you're making. This really does need to be called the parable of the soils because it's not about the seed.
Right.
The seed is not the point of the parable. What the point is? Well, we've said that parables are about one point. So what is the point of this parable?
Yeah, the point of the parable being how is this good message of the kingdom received, right? What are the conditions surrounding this, where this seed was planted that could impact its growth and eventual yield, right? So the shallow depth of the soil, or the thorns, or the heat, the birds. These are the things that are interfering potentially with the germinating of the seed.
That's right. It's all about our hearts.
Yeah.
It's all about the reception of the message of the gospel in the kingdom. Yeah, really, really good synopsis. As I put you on the spot there, good job, man. Did you feel a little bit like you were back at your ordination?
Yeah,
counseling?
I'm wearing a very different shirt. I learned just how much a human body can perspire in one sitting in that moment in a light gray shirt. So I've remembered that.
Well, I thought you did that well then, and I thought you did well answering that question. And I think we were chatting before this, and as I have processed through this, I have really come to think that if you don't understand, if you don't have a robust understanding of the new birth, if you don't understand what that is about, well, number one, Christianity as a whole doesn't make sense. But I really think this parable, you don't have a prayer of understanding it if you don't understand the new birth.
Yeah, you don't get it. You don't get it, right? Like in some sense, the picture is so simple. It's childlike.
Right.
The parables are all childlike in the imagery, and yet as simple as the pictures are, the smartest people can just miss it, right? Without this internal transformation of heart.
Yeah, we mentioned on Sunday at Wellington. Don't know if you mentioned it at Divine, but there's this video. You can find it on YouTube if you want. But some of the very smartest people, probably on the planet, Jordan Peterson being one of them. Yeah. And I think we need to pray for Jordan Peterson. He's not a Christian clearly, but I think he's on the path there. And so there's Jordan Peterson and a bunch of other guys. I think I only even recognize maybe even one of the other dudes, but very smart dudes talking about this very parable and not getting it. And like, man, if talk about the heart and the reception of the heart being the necessary precondition to the reception of the word, it could not be more clear. And there was even, I think we mentioned that there was one guy that says that Jesus' explanation of the parable isn't any more clear than the parable. And that's unbelievable to me.
That's baffling. Like he literally spells it out in the simplest terms you could. And to not get it is to just reveal a suppression of the truth at the heart level, like we talked about last week in Romans 1, right? Which sometimes we doubt if that's real, but like, man, that's all the evidence you need. Rarely does someone say, I'm aware that I'm actively suppressing the truth,
right?
Although I've had one or two like that, but that's totally what's happening because there's no other reason these guys who are many times over smarter than me, I won't speak for you, but for me, they're many times over smarter than me, and they're missing the simplest thing. It's baffling. And they're saying a lot of words. They're talking all around it with really smart words. And it's like, what are you guys even saying? This psychobabble that they're trying to analyze this picture with. Yeah,
it's true. Can we just push pause for a minute? Can we get the people to silence their phones in the room? Producer Bob, can you ask whoever that was to...
I hear a little bird.
I hear a little bird. I thought that was, we all know who the smartest one in the room is. So I thought the great points that you were making, that was the Lord's like great point, Scott.
Bob's not on the mic. He's behind the ones and twos.
But listen, the new birth is so important. And again, so here's what I mean by that. If you understand Christianity fundamentally as how Jesus describes it, that when someone becomes a Christian, they go from death to life. They go from being spiritually dead to spiritually alive. And the new birth is what we have in Christ. We're born again, as Jesus, the language that Jesus himself uses.
Right.
And if you don't understand that, how the seed that takes root and then grows and doesn't just germinate, but grows to a harvest, that is the new birth that he's talking about.
Yeah. As a very side note, like you said, we pray for Jordan Peterson, smart guy, conservative-minded man, and finds himself in agreement with Christians. It so happens on a lot of things, although he won't articulate that he is a believer in Christ himself. Seems shy to say that, which is maybe the evidence that you need, right, to know that he's not there yet. But I think a real danger is for many of us who have conservative leanings. We love listening to guys who are also conservative and gals who end up in alignment with a lot of Bible positions on big issues. And sometimes we're listening to them more than the scriptures or pastoral voices or you name it from actual believers. And it's important to remember conservative does not equal Christ follower.
Oh man, what a great point.
Those voices are maybe helpful, but can't be the loudest ones in your ear as a Christian, I don't think.
What a great point. Producer Bob, I need you to put that bell sound in post to ring true about what Pastor Scott is saying there. What a great point. Yeah, man, you're exactly right. We can be co-belligerents with other conservative voices, I think, who would value the things that the scripture values. But if they haven't experienced the new birth, we have to see them as co-belligerents more than allies.
Like Jordan Peterson has whole courses you can buy on the Bible,
which
from a man who, like we're saying, what do you listen to him? As smart as he is, why you listen to him about the Bible if he hasn't, Jesus hasn't got his heart yet, right?
Yeah. By definition, like definitionally, he will not be able to proclaim the truth of the Bible, just definitionally, because as we're seeing in these parables, his heart's hard.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say that he's never going to get it. I'm not even sure if I'm comfortable saying he doesn't get it even now, but boy, the evidence from what he says sure would indicate that it's not that.
Yeah.
Can we talk talk for a minute about the difference between, in this parable, the seeds that germinate versus the seeds that replicate? Those are two distinct things. And being fairly non-agrarian in most of our outlooks, in most of our experience, we can think that what Jesus is saying is that, hey, out of those 4 seeds, 3 of them germinated, man. So good job for 3 of those seeds. And we might be tempted to think that those seeds that germinated represent the new birth. Yet this is not what Jesus is saying. That's not the point of the parable.
Yeah, he's talking about the yield, right? The actual crop yield. Like, I know you are a master gardener.
Well, okay, stop. I tinker. I am definitely not a master gardener.
Okay. Well, compared to me, we have
don't put that pressure on me.
We don't get a lot of sun in the backyard, so we grew really very simple small garden space this past year. The kids get fired up about that, but like, we had strawberries planted, and you know how many strawberries I yielded?
Well, it depends what year that you know,
they're ever
how long they've been going. Oh,
there should have been multiple yields.
Yeah. And
0.
Come on.
0 strawberries were consumed. They were green.
Did the birds get them?
We have animals that watch for the exact instant that 99% moves to 100% ripeness, and they got it every single time. So like we were excited when the plant germinated.
Yep.
The plant was great.
Yeah.
It was healthy and green, and we didn't eat one single piece of fruit off of it. So
push back against the fall. Push back against the fall, man. Like, keep those vermin out of there.
Yeah. What's the point in growing leafy greens that don't taste good without the fruit?
That's right.
It's all about the reproducing. And this is the way Jesus talks all through the Gospels, is about judging a tree by its fruit. And if you don't abide in me, you'll produce no fruit. Like this is John 15. This is the fig tree. Like this is the same theme over and over, that what comes out, tangible fruit of the Christian life, is the evidence of the new birth, like you said.
That's exactly right. And it's at this point that we both look at the camera, for those that are watching on video, and we do what we call the right hook, when like the question for all of us is, where is the fruit in your life? The thing that is alive. What Jesus is saying here is that there will be fruit if you are a genuine follower of Jesus Christ. There will be fruit in your life. And so we all need to be asking ourselves hard questions, man. Am I a genuine believer? Where is the fruit in my life? And we got to make sure we don't get it in the wrong order. The fruit does not make us a follower of Christ. And clearly this aligns with the parable completely. It's when the soil is good, the soil of the heart is good, and the seed germinates and grows following the parable here. And then as a result, the fruit comes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we talk about fruit, like, there should be change, right? Nobody in the New Testament ever meets Jesus and stays the same. Sometimes people might want to measure it with works or certain things they can point to, and like, you should be noticeably different. But how does it go? The works aren't the root of the faith; they're the fruit of the faith, right? So the faith has to be the root, but there will be visible fruit. There will be things different about you. And we talk about a yield of replication. Like, Christ followers are meant to replicate themselves. Something that we've done a little bit at Remix. Are you familiar with the Sun Life 4-chair thing?
Yeah, I've heard it, but you know better than me.
So like, they have this way of describing 4 stages of maturity for a believer, I guess. And so it goes like, you're a seeker. So this is the come and see invitation. Then you become a believer. This is the follow me invitation, that you can receive this. And then there's the third chair is like the worker. So this is where you become a fisher of men. You're serving this new master, Jesus. But chair 4 is the disciple maker, like, go and bear fruit, like, replicate yourselves. Can you actually like share with someone else that they would become a follower, they would multiply, and this exponential generational yield kind of thing. And the theory is a lot of people are really just stuck in chair 2, or at least in chair 3, and not seeking to, can I replicate myself? Can I replicate another mature as much as it depends on us. Can I replicate another mature believer who would then go on to yield 100 and so on, like the multiple generations of a crop kind of thing?
So here's the thing that I hear once in a while. What do I do, Pastor Scott, if I find myself in this position where, like, man, I have a great family. My family loves the Lord. I'm serving in the church and it's going well there. And this is working out so well. Here's the thing, though. I really don't have anybody in my circles who isn't a believer. Like, what do I do at that point? How do I proceed there?
Well, you find some somehow, some way. And I'm so excited. We're doing 4 weeks on really practical methods of evangelism in once the series is wrapped up, right?
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
But something I was reminded of even just yesterday, hate going to the dentist. We were just chatting about this before we came on here. If you get your hair cut, that's most of us. If you get your back cracked or whatever they do to you to fix your body ailments, or you go to the dentist, although it's harder with someone's hands in your mouth, you have a captive audience. Yeah. If you don't know anyone else, you can talk to those people for the amount of time you get with them. And I've found that to be a really fruitful conversation venue. But man, like, there's people on either side of you, unless you live in the country. There's ways. Sometimes we haven't actually tried it, but it's a good challenge. Who are these people?
Yeah, and prioritizing, right? Yeah. Like, this needs to be something that we prioritize in our lives. I'm at the point where I think every single person that you mentioned in my life are believers.
The people who do those things,
not so on purpose. It's just kind of the way that it goes. It's not my fault that the best hairdresser in Sarnia or best barber in Sarnia is a Christian, man. Like, Ann comes to Blue Water. It's not my fault.
I hope Dino isn't hearing this.
It is Dino.
Yeah, no, I know. I just kind of outed that I'm not there. But he is awesome. Yeah, it's something to think about for sure. And I'll just say, like, we talk about sharing our faith all the time. Sometimes as pastors, we don't talk enough about the fact that, like, we kind of have the easy gig that I'm very confident, almost 99% confident we work with all Christians, right? Yeah, like
I did have questions about Producer church. Bob, but just kidding, Producer Bob.
No, there's fruit on those branches. Okay. Edit that out. That's weird.
No, leave it. Leave that in there.
So we get an easy job. Like, we come here, we speak about Jesus on home field.
Yeah.
Right? It's not weird to hear about Jesus when you come into a church building. We work with all believers. I remember working at the pepper farm. Man, this is a whole other ballgame when you're the only Christian in your workplace. And so if you work in a secular workplace, man, you are surrounded with opportunities. Yeah. We have to dig a little bit in a different way, and not saying poor us, but just everyone's context is different, but we can make an effort for sure.
Yeah, we sure can. And here's another thing that we probably need to talk about stemming out of this parable. There is a sad reality that there are many parents, and I know I was part of a conversation about this not too long ago, and for the life of me, I can't remember who I was talking about this with or where I heard it, so I apologize if you were the one that I had this conversation with and I'm just blanking on it. It happens when you get old.
Send an angry email if that was you.
That's right. But there is this situation where we have parents, Christian parents, who love the Lord, whose kids have maybe made a profession of faith at some point, maybe when they were younger or what have you. And then there's this sad situation where they walk away from the faith, and parents are kind of hanging on to this, my child, made a profession of faith. So they're a Christian, when they were 6 years old, they haven't darkened the door of a church in 20 years, and they have no, there's no fruit at all. And yet they're hanging on to this. That's a really sad situation. And parents are just kind of desperately hanging on to that. What do you say to that parent?
Oh man, that's so hard.
By the way, we've all experienced like some of that.
Yeah.
We've all experienced the people that have put their faith in Christ, and then the soil of their heart is the shallow soil. The soil of their heart is the thorny soil, and whatever it is just chokes that out. And
I don't know. Again, the parable makes one point, so not to extend the metaphor too far, but like, I don't know. Could we say that some seeds stay dormant, like just because something hasn't germinated now? Like, this side of eternity, like you pray and you keep waiting and seeing what God might do, right? But that is a hard thing. We don't want to invite people to easy believism type of faith where we say, You prayed when you're 6 years old and you have set Jesus on a shelf for 45 years, but you're good because you did pray that prayer. Like, that's just never described in the Bible, right? Like even we got to be careful with the language of the sinner's prayer. Like we're repentance and faith. Like that's what we're describing when we say that, right? But like, there's no magic 2 sentences to pray to get into heaven. There's surrender and follow Jesus and live like demonstrably like that. That's proven true with fruit in some capacity, even if it's in bud form. Like, is there anything? And if not, like, that's a difficult thing to say, right? But did this seed ever germinate and survive?
I think you make a great point. The story's not done. The end is not written. We don't know what's going on in human hearts. There is one person that does, Jesus. Right. He knows what's going on. However, I don't think it helps the situation. As a matter of fact, I've never seen it help a situation when a parent or someone treats their child as if they're a believer because they had made this profession at one point, but never lived that out. You need to treat them as an unbeliever. And lest anyone hear me say is like, oh, I could never do that. What do you mean? Like, how do you treat unbelievers? If you treat them poorly, then maybe you need to check your own thing. Right. So I'm not saying you treat anyone poorly in any way, shape, or form. But again, it's not helpful to treat someone who's a believer if, in fact, there is no evidence that they are. Pray for them. Pray fervently for them. Talk to them about Jesus. Do apologetics with them,
right.
Like talk through some of these things. And it's not always welcome. We need to have wisdom with how we approach that. But what it comes back to is the new birth and this whole radical idea that we need to be born again. We need the new birth. And if we don't have the new birth, I think this idea that I hear in some circles about someone who, I'm trying to think of what words people, put on it, but have people that have faith and that faith is just not activated. I don't see that. I tend to think that probably what's going on there is someone whose heart was maybe the thorny soil. And so, there might be something there, but it's not saving faith.
Yeah. Like the Bible speaks about, if faith is there, it will be visibly activated. It doesn't hang out in like, this isn't like a low-rise bread type of thing. Like it's there or it's not. it's realized and it's visible or it's not. They can know about him. You've made an introduction. They know about him, but they either know him personally or they don't.
That's right.
And it's so hard and so emotionally. Yep. Like it's a painful thing when these are real people that matter to us a whole lot. But it doesn't help anybody to pretend.
I think that is a really good way to say it. And if there are hard feelings about what we're saying here, I hope that they hear a pastor's plural heart in this, that the new birth is vital and you need to pray for them for that. And really the prophetic function of parables is very important for us to remember. And what Jesus is saying, not only with this parable, but with so many of the parables, is you're in or you're out. There is none of this kind of middle ground thing. I do think that there are certain type of theologies who lend themselves to kind of distorting what Jesus is saying here, where we are unapologetically a Baptist rooted church, a Baptist rooted podcast. And so we love our, Presbyterian and Paedo Baptist brothers and sisters. Boy, do we love them. We think they're fantastic. And yet, part of the problem when you have people that are baptized into the community of faith as a baby and they've never made that decision, there is this, kind of, I don't want to say wishy-washiness, but there's this theology that leans towards, not what Jesus is saying here. You're in or you're out, the prophetic function of drawing those lines very firmly.
Yeah. The excitement factor of, well, they're here at church, is not really what's being described. In some traditions, like that's the win, right? Yep. And like we're going to talk about this in the series to come, but we should never be shy about our goal. That the goal is conversion. Yep. That's like a dirty word to people nowadays, but that is 100% the goal, is that people would be moved from death to life, that they would only trust in Jesus and he would give them this new birth, and not that they would believe he exists or he's a good guy or I like the music at church because it's awesome, which it is. those are not the goal at all to
Yeah.
get, to get your family member to sit beside you. The goal is that they would be converted
Yep.
and have this new birth, and there'd be a yield.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And you're right. And the longer we go as a society in Canada, we are going to find that this idea of conversion is so pushed back against, and we have to stand straight backed and unapologetic and say, yep, no, this is what we are about. This is literally, this is
the goal.
This is the goal.
Yeah.
This is the goal. And for the good of those who we know and love. Well, thanks so much for joining us today on the Blue Water Backstage podcast as we are bouncing around the parable of the soils in Matthew chapter 13. Really glad that you are with us. And again, just want to challenge you on the way out here. Make a point to share the faith with someone. It's the job of believers in Jesus Christ to scatter broadly.
Yeah.
And that's maybe something we didn't touch on that we should probably just hit on the way out. We scatter broadly and then we leave it up to the Lord. It's not my job to make Producer Bob's heart or anybody else's heart. The Lord looks after that. My job is to scatter broadly. And so we do that.
Yeah, that's right.
So thanks so much for listening. My name's Tim.
I'm Scott.
You are loved.